You want to be able to work at home, but which option is better? The private sector or the government? A recent study shows that 22% of Americans will be working remote by next year. But are you eligible for these jobs, and where should you be looking? Forbes put out a list of the top 5 highest paying remote jobs. These all have salaries over $100,000 a year, and they're in the private sector, but let's see how they compare to federal government jobs. First, we have a remote project manager with an average salary of $128,000 to $160,000 a year. In the private sector, these type of jobs, they typically require a PMP certificate and some sort of education. The highest paying project managers, it's going to be in the IT sector. Let's look at how many actual remote jobs there are for project managers. On Indeed, we can see that there are over 600 remote project manager jobs posted in the last 2 weeks. If we look for a federal government project manager on usajobs.gov, we can find a 100% remote work job as an IT project manager in the HHS, Health and Human Services. The salary range is between $122,000 and $191,000 a year. This specific job announcement is hiring for 2 people, and it can be done anywhere in the United States, even U.S. territories like Puerto Rico or Guam. Also, project managers in the federal government, there is no PMP requirement. And many times, there is no educational requirement. It doesn't matter if you have 1 class in college. You just need the experience. Next, we have a remote software engineer in the private sector with an average salary of $72,000 to $188,000 a year. This is one of the top growing remote work jobs, and it is going to increase in demand. If we jump on Indeed, we can look, there are over 6,000 software engineer jobs posted in the last 2 weeks. In the government software engineer jobs, they typically do not have an educational requirement. They want you to be able to program, so you need to know Java or C# or whatever it is, but you don't have to have your traditional 4-year degree. Let's go ahead and jump back on usajobs.gov. We can see a 100% remote work job as an IT specialist, application software. The salary is between $49,000 and $186,000 a year. This posting is to hire multiple people in the 2210 job series as an IT specialist, application software. This is as close as a lot of people will get to being a software engineer in the government. You can also look at the 1500, the 1550 job series. That's heavy towards computer science and math. But if you want to stick in the IT side, this is going to be it. Now, the reason for that, the federal government, they contract a lot of their heavy technical type skill jobs. When it comes to computers, when it comes to network engineers and things like that, they like to contract that out. But for a job like this, what would you need, right? You would need 1 year of experience putting data into charts, operating computer consoles, and scheduling the sequence of programs. This is also a public notice position. It's open for 3 months. So a lot of people are going to end up applying, and they're going to assess periodically, maybe every week, every couple of weeks, until they get enough people hired into that position. So do not let the number 1,000 applicants, don't let that scare you, okay? Because this is for many different locations, different positions. All right, so next we have a program manager in the private sector with an average salary of $129,000 to $172,000 a year. Some people, they get project manager confused with program manager. Usually a program manager is managing a series of projects, and a project manager has more of a narrow focus on one project, and it could be temporary. So taking a look on Indeed, there are over 6,000 remote program manager jobs in the past 2 weeks. As I was looking through a lot of these job postings, some of them actually say hybrid. That's not true remote. So even though you click the button on Indeed, you still have to read each and every one of these job postings. Now the jobs on here, they were looking for 5-7 years of experience, and you're not going to find the same requirement for government jobs. On usajobs.gov, we can see a 100% remote work job as a program manager at the Department of Energy with a salary range of $86,000 to $191,000 a year. Like the past 2 government jobs we just looked at, this one is open to the public, meaning anybody with a U.S. citizenship, they can be considered for this job. And there's a lot of vacancies here. Now, the required experience listed, it's pretty vague. You need experience coordinating with other organizations, and changing workflows and work assignments to balance workloads. But you just don't want to copy and paste that language into your resume. You have to make it seem somewhat organic. Take your pre-existing experience, use some of those keywords in order to have success. Otherwise, you're going to run into an obstacle. You're not going to get referred, and it's going to be hard to get the interview. So the question is, which one's for you? Is it going to be the public sector or the private sector? Both of these options, they offer you the ability to be able to work from the comfort of your home, to finally get off the road, to stop doing the commutes, wasting the time and the money. It's the freedom aspect of it, right? So if you look at the salaries, they're not too far off. I know the government has a negative reputation when it comes to paying its employees, but we just looked at it from a remote perspective, looking at these skills of a software engineer, a program manager. They're getting paid somewhat similarly. Now, here's a huge difference. One of these workers, one of these sectors will give you a guaranteed pension. So when you reach the age of 57, 60, or 62, you will have money coming in every month that's not affiliated or associated with the stock market that you can guarantee that you can rely on. The other one will not. The other one will give you a 401k, and maybe they might throw you a pizza party on a Friday. But they will not give you a pension. They will never give you a pension because it works against their interest of profit. Also, you have to consider what happens during a down economy. What happens for the private sector employee, they could be laid off. They could be sent packing. That's not as likely to occur in a federal government job despite a recession, despite a depression coming. You have more job security. One strength the private sector does have, they have way more opportunities. They have thousands of jobs right now that you could apply, you can compete for. The federal government, on any given day, they have a few hundred. So if you're playing the volume game, then you're probably going to look at the private sector. But with the private sector, we've been hearing more about this surveillance companies are doing. They're installing it on your computer. Then the webcam is actually recording or taking pictures of you and monitoring your keystrokes. So it's more invasive in certain companies in the private sector than it ever will be in the public sector. Another idea, another strategy that might be better for you is why not do both? You go ahead and apply to the private sector, apply to the government. See where you get the most traction, where you get a higher salary, a better job. Now you could do both, but I wouldn't do it with the same resume. The federal government needs another resume. It has key information that needs to be in there. Your achievements and experience needs to have more detail. So your federal resume is going to be longer because of that detail. And your private resume probably can stay 1 or 2 pages. Once you have both of those resumes, good to go, then you go ahead and increase the volume of how many times you're applying. If you really want a remote work job and you're determined it's just going to take consistency, develop it into a habit, block off the time each and every day, 1 hour. All I'm going to do is apply to remote work jobs. You wake up, it's like brushing your teeth or eating lunch. It just happens. It happens and you don't even think about it that much. So that's how you have to develop it, right? If you have more questions about getting a federal government job, I did a live stream recently. I answered over a dozen questions about the hiring process, about usajobs.gov, about different government jobs. If you're interested in that, I want you to watch this video next. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please click like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.